First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Dibler. We're live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. We're here every weekday. We start around 1 o'clock. We go through the afternoon all the way to our 4 p.m. news. And we cover a wide range of topics here on this show. And today, we're talking about something that's going to be happening on January 17th. And that is when the High Seas Treaty is going to be implemented. And now we're going to explain what that is and how that all works and what it has to do with all of our ocean waters, because we've got two of the people who really got this whole thing going. Joining us right now from Oregon State University, we have Kirsten Grorud-Colvert and we have Jenna Sullivan-Stack. Apologies if I mispronounced anybody's names, but doing the best I could on there. But Jenna and Kirsten, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. And I'm really excited to talk about all this work that you've done. And it's just so cool, having Oregon State involved. I'm an alum, by the way. But for that side of things, would you mind maybe each letting us know just a little bit about your work there, with Oregon State?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having us. I can go first. I'm Kirsten, and I'm a marine scientist here at Oregon State University. We're in the Department of Integrative Biology. And what that basically means is we are taking what we know about biology, in this case in the ocean, and bringing it together with what's happening out in the world today, and especially policy moments when science can help inform decisions that are being made. So as part of my work, I've long been interested in how ocean ecosystems go together, how they change over time, and also with some of the changes that we're seeing off our coast here in Oregon and around the world. What does this mean for actions we might take for conservation and for management? And so that really drove me to ask questions about this particular kind of tool that we use to conserve biodiversity and to manage things in the ocean. And they're called marine protected areas. So much like kind of parks on land, these are parks in the sea. And we're understanding a lot about what works inside these areas, different kinds of management measures that can be made, because we want ocean species, habitats, all these things that we see in underwater footage and sometimes experience to be able to thrive into the future. So marine protected areas is a huge part of what we do. The work that kind of brought us to this moment is part of a huge collaboration of ocean experts around the world who kind of came together to pool all the data, all the research over decades about marine protected areas and understand what are some of the key principles and practices that science can show are effective over time, so that we can make informed decisions and really get to the thriving ocean that we all want and need. So,
I mean, that encompasses a lot right there, just of all of those different aspects of what you do. And Jenna, I want to hear from you as well. With your work there, is it pretty similar of what you do as far as getting into that side of things?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for having us. And we're really excited to be here to talk about this High Seas Treaty. It's something that a lot of folks might not have heard about. It's a huge, momentous, historic occasion happening in a couple days. It's the work of decades, literally decades of hard work from people around the world to kind of plug a gap in governance that has existed for 2/3 of our planet, is the high seas, which are just outside of national jurisdiction. And so the work that Kirsten and I both do at Oregon State is really helping translate insights from science, from social science and ecological science, like what our backgrounds are, and other ways of knowing, into really helping understand how decisions can be made more grounded in science, thinking about effectiveness for ocean species, but also for all the people that depend on them. So that's what I've been focusing on also, together with a really big network of folks around the world that are all working hard on this.
And that's one of the things, I noticed with this is, this is a high a high seas treaty. I mean, this is involving so many people and organizations, but it's based off of some work that you two did. Is that correct?
Well, science never happens in one person alone, but we're incredibly fortunate here at Oregon State University to have amazing resources, amazing scientists who are studying different aspects of ocean systems, everything from the tiniest organisms, the plankton, that's photosynthesizing and creating oxygen for our planet, all the way up to the largest marine mammals like our gray whales off our coast here in Oregon. So that body of knowledge provides this incredible opportunity to pull things together and to synthesize and to look for patterns and trends and things that just keep on popping up as kind of ingredients for success. And so that's part of what we did, pull together a working group, if you will, of these experts to really get into the details of this. And importantly, once we as scientists and experts kind of get into the nitty-gritty details, then be able to think about how it might be useful and really challenge ourselves as scientists to put forward recommendations, guidance that's really useful and usable. So as scientists, that's always a challenge for us. We like to use all the lingo and the jargon, but really our common goals unite us. And we want to be able to continue to enjoy the ocean, to preserve the biodiversity that it so richly encompasses. And like Jenna said, the high seas is this vast source of biodiversity on our planet. And for the first time, we have a way to protect that biodiversity.
And when we're talking about the protection aspect of this, how does this treaty bring about protection for those areas, that are the high seas?
Yeah, thanks. So we have, the treaty will enter into force, and actually those are the discussions that exactly are going to be happening with leadership and countries around the world about how to actually make it work in the real world. We know a lot about how marine protected areas work as a tool, and that's something that Kirsten and I have worked together with all these different colleagues we've been talking about. So up until this treaty, there has been no legally binding way to create a protected area in the high seas, which is, again, the area outside of any country's control. And so there have been a few sort of piecemeal approaches, but really this treaty for the first time allows that mechanism for countries to come together and say, this is a really important place for biodiversity. Let's protect it against really impactful human activities. And so it's really exciting. It's not the only part of the treaty. There's also, places for understanding environmental impact assessments outside of protected areas or inside, and thinking about all the resources that are out there and how they're equitably shared. But the piece of the treaty that's about creating these protections for important places and species is the part that we're really helping, our work is helping inform using our science. So it's really exciting.
And when you talk about
starts once it's implemented.
It's just so cool, that having that work and, the importance of having those areas protected. And when we're talking about that, just to give everybody a little bit of context, what are some of the dangers that those areas, these extremely biodiverse areas on the high seas are facing? What are some of the dangers for them?
Well, before this conversation started about biodiversity in the high seas, really, most of the discussions were kind of led by industrial uses or other means of kind of extracting things from the high seas. So we might think about the high seas as this huge open area of the globe, more than half the planet, where, shipping, industrial, large-scale shipping is happening. A lot of our large-scale and industrial fisheries operate in areas outside of national waters. And so for that reason, a lot of the organizations that are in charge of those things have been focused on the commercial and the industrial aspect of it. because there are areas that are still really sensitive, and because the biodiversity is so rich, but in some cases, having built over thousands of years, some deep sea corals are truly ancient. So those exist on things like seamounts, which are especially vulnerable to things like bottom trawling, which is a form of fishing that uses boards to separate the net and drag along the seafloor. So this provides kind of a logical and really useful way to say there are multiple ways that the high seas is being used, but preserving biodiversity in some of these areas needs to be a goal, and there needs to be a means for doing so. And so that's why these marine protected areas will be truly historic. And in the next month or so, conversations will really begin about which parts of the ocean might be brought forward as the first proposals for marine protected areas in the high seas.
Wow. So you mentioned that, that's in the next month or so, but on January 17th, can you tell us what happens exactly that day?
Yeah, that's the day that the High Seas Treaty, or the United Nations Agreement on Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, BBNJ, it's the same thing. And that enters into force. So it becomes international law that these, impact assessments are needed before doing some of these destructive activities. We can start these conversations about where protected areas might be, might go, and start those negotiations. So it enters into force then. It's been a really long road, and it's very complicated. There's agreeing to the treaty and ratifying it, and there have been all these different steps. But now there are 81 countries that have ratified, and when it passed 60 in the fall, that's when the countdown started to when it would actually enter into force. So that's what's happening on Saturday.
Wow, amazing. I mean, and how does it feel for the two of you, having, obviously your interest and work in this in so many decades of everyone else in the field caring about this, and even beyond other fields? How does it feel to see this happen?
I mean, historic is a word. It was in the title bar, but it feels that way. It feels like a gift to be able to experience this as a marine scientist, especially thinking of our colleagues who have gone before, who have worked for literally decades, so that biodiversity in the high seas would be recognized and conserved. And it just feels like one of the best countdowns ever. It started in September, and literally we've been counting down the days until Saturday. So it'll be a huge celebration.
Amazing. Jenna, how's it feel for you?
Yeah, same. It's really nice as a scientist. Sometimes it feels like working on small things, or, my research on sea stars on the Oregon coast, like it's hard sometimes to see the impact. And it's really nice when things like this happen, where you can see a really important, clear impact at a global scale in this case, but also important for Oregon. So it's just, really gratifying for the amount of time we've spent and care of all the colleagues that we have around the world. Really exciting.
Well, thank you to both of you, for being here with us to come on this show just to talk about this amazing achievement and just what it means for everybody, for, the entire world, of how important this is, and 2/3 of the planet, being part of that. It's just really incredible, so yeah, your work matters very much. And we just appreciate both of you being on here to share that with us, and congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for celebrating with us.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching too, this is Fox 12 Now, so we're live streaming here. We're here every weekday. We go from 3 p.m. till 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We cover a wide range of topics, and you can always watch these on the Fox 12 Oregon app as well. But we get to have these longer form discussions like we just did with Kirsten and Jenna. So pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. And thanks for being here. As I mentioned, we'll sign off for now. 4 p.m. news is coming up. If there's breaking news between now and then, I'll be back. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.